Welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to deploy a brand new DC. As you can see here, I have several virtual machines on my VMware ESXi, and as you can see, I'm going to be deploying a brand new DC on this server 2022. So I named the OS DC01. Let me connect to it. I'm gonna go to full screen mode. I'm going to log in. Actually, let me exit out to get to the control alt delete. OS guest option. So here I'm going to log in by putting on my credential. I'm gonna do full screen mode and then type in my credentials for the machine. All right, so I logged in. Once it's finished processing, I will go ahead and actually, the first thing we're gonna do is gonna be configuring our network configuration, because as a domain controller, we don't want to have an IP address that changes all the time. So we want to make sure our IP is set to, static IP. So we're going to click on network and internet settings, and then we're going to click on change adapter options. And then we're going to double click, and here it is. So you can see I have a static IP already I set up, and it's not DHCP, and I set up my DNS. So just to give you more insight, I can go ahead and open up my IPv4. I set up my IP address as the 200, and I have, my preferred DNS is going to be the same. It's going to point to the same machine, and then I have external DNS server connecting to OpenDNS. So that's what I have my configuration set as. Now that I have that, I will go to Server Manager. I will go to and add a roles and features. I will click add roles and features. I will hit next, next, and I will check to install Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS. Hit OK. Next, install. So what this is going to do is install Active Directory Domain Services role, and once it's done, we will configure it. So depending on your machine, this can go super quick, or it could take some time to get going. Mine is not, very fast machine, but it is enough to get the job done, and we can see that it's almost done. All right, so it's completed. You can see that, and now it's just did that. So we can go ahead and hit close everything else. We're gonna click on the notification, and now we need to promote the server as a domain controller. To do that, we're gonna click promote the server to a domain controller. We're gonna type in, we're gonna be creating a brand new forest, so we're gonna go ahead, add a forest. We're gonna type our forest as gonna be so it's gonna be I teach ac.org. So I teach academy.org. So that's where it's gonna be it. So I'm actually gonna shorten the domain name. So let me go ahead and do it. IT to itac.org, and let me make sure the domain is available just to make sure. So my domain is gonna be iteachacademy.org. So that's what's gonna be my domain is gonna be at, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. So after long deliberation, I came up with a domain name of IT. I came up with after long deliberation, I came up with a name of IT Academy. After long deliberation, I finally chose itacademy.org as my domain name. And then I'm going to run as my forest functional level 2016 on both domain and forest functional level. And then I'm gonna put my root password. And I'm gonna hit next. I'm gonna go ahead and the next on that again. So basically this is a DNS delegation. This is fine. I'm gonna hit next. I don't have any DNS service right now. And then now it's gonna verify whether my NAT BIOS can be checked. So and that's it. It shows up as IT Academy. If we had a long name, that would be shortened to fit the NAT BIOS name. So, but now our name is good. We should be fine. Hit next. And then I'm gonna store all the database syslog folder, sysvault folders into the local. If I wanted to, I could specify a share and put it over there, but now I'm fine putting in here. Now this is a summary of my configuration now. So this is a summary, and I'm pretty much, good to go on as far as my configuration is concerned. So now that we're done this, we're gonna hit next again. This is the summary of our configuration. We're gonna go hit next. That's a summary of my configuration. And if we're happy with it, we can hit next. If we were not happy with it, this is the summary of this is a summary of my configuration. Here is we got our DNS check. At last, this is a summary of my configuration, and you can see it's gonna go ahead, choose my NAT BIOS as that, It's gonna use my domain name as IT Academy. It's gonna run as a 2016 forest functional level. It's gonna run as a domain function as 2016. We have global catalog enabled. We have DNS server enabled. We have no delegation set up right now. And if I scroll down, we'll look at another settings over here. Let me go ahead and scroll down. And at last, we have our sysvault. So we have our sysvault going to the local, seed, root, Windows, NTDS, all of them going to be stored there. And then this is the summary of it. And we're happy with it. Now we can go ahead and actually proceed. Hit next. It's gonna check. Once it verifies, then it will go ahead and get us there. So now that it's gonna check, now it didn't find anything else. Now it's gonna check the prerequisite. If it finds anything major, it will want us to fix it. But this is all for default stuff, and it's fine. And we're ready to hit install. And we can also show detail, show more of that. It tells you all the prerequisites was passed successfully. It says passed successfully, so we don't have to do anything. So that's how it is. We're good. Now we can hit install. Now it's starting to install. Okay, so now it's going to go ahead and reboot. That it did do what it needs to do, so it's gonna go ahead and reboot the server, and this is something that needs to be done in order to proceed. So we will go ahead and hit close, and it rebooted itself already, so it didn't even wait for me. All right, so now we're ready to begin signing into our brand new DC. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can actually log into it. Let me get out of full screen for a second and then get the Control Alt Delete. Then get to full screen. Now we're logging into our actual domain account, IT Academy administrator. We're logging into as a administrator user of the IT Academy. So there you go. So we just logged in. Once it's finished, we should be able to have the Active Directory Administrative Console over here installed, and we have it. So we have the Active Directory Administrative Center and Active Directory Users and Computers. So we're gonna hit Users and Computers, and we should be able to create a brand new user and create a suffix for our UPN and whatnot. So we can do everything now. So let's create, for example, an OU. We right click here. Now that we logged in, you can see we have a couple default users like administrator account, groups created for us already. We're going to go ahead and create an OU. Right click on the IT Academy, and then we're going to click on new, and then we're going to do OU, organization unit. We're going to call it I teach admins. and then we're gonna let it protect X from accidental deletion. So if this is enabled, no one can delete it accidentally unless they uncheck it and whatnot. So we're gonna hit OK, and then we're gonna create another OU again. We're gonna call this one I teach users, and I hit OK. Next, we can create a user under here, and the user, I'm going to create a fictitious users just for the test here. We'll create a user called Pele, one of the greatest soccer players of all time. And then we're gonna give the username Pele at itacademy.org. And then we're gonna uncheck the user to not expire, and then set the password to. We're gonna check the user from changing their password at first login, and we're gonna set the password to not expire. So we're gonna go ahead, supply a default password for Pele, and then we're gonna hit finish. And then we can create a user here. This time we're gonna call the user. We can make this user again referencing my soccer knowledge, Ronaldo. We're gonna make the username R9 at itacademy.org, and then we're gonna uncheck the box. The user must change the password in the next login. We're gonna set the password to not expire again, and then we're gonna go ahead and set up the password for the user. And then we're gonna hit next, finish. So that's it. We have our domain set up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna customize it. I'm also gonna set up a secondary domain, and that's something we can do in the next video. But for this video, we're done. We did, went ahead. The first thing, just summarize, and I'm gonna summarize it over here for us. So the first thing we did is gonna be, if I can pull up my whiteboard. So we did the following thing. Step 1, we configured static IP for our DC. We configured DNS. Then we installed the roles. ADDS roles, Active Directory domain and services role. We configured our first forest, and gave it itacademy.org. We then logged in, created a new user, a new OU actually, OU and users inside the OU, and that's what we did so far. So that is it. So, and we're now gonna conclude this video. I hope this video was helpful. Please stay tuned for more videos. Take care. Bye-bye.